Hello, everyone, and welcome to my tips to improve your website's SEO webinar. My name is Mike Hepburn, and I'll discuss that a little bit further in a moment. You'll have a website and are now trying to figure out how to get traffic to it. In this webinar, we outline some tips on how to capture the attention using SEO techniques. Now, before I go into the webinar, there are 3 SEO techniques that I want to cover. The first technique is called black hat techniques. Black hat is illegal techniques to do with Google. It's things like keyword stuffing, using the same color text as your background, um, and there's various other techniques that can get you disavowed or banned from the Google search engine. Then there's gray hat techniques. So gray hat is borderline black hat, white hat. They could be deemed illegal in the future, so it is a good suggestion to avoid those. And then the last technique is called white hat techniques, which is what a good quality SEO company will use when working on your website for SEO. And the suggestions that are made today are all white hat techniques. So with that, let me do a little introduction of myself. So my name is Mike Hepburn. I'm the owner and operator of YourSocialStrategy.com. We've been in business since 2016. I have 29 years of experience in the funeral profession, being a co-founder of Frontrunner Professional and Funeral Tech. I'm a past board member of the Thousand Islands Chamber of Commerce and a current member of the Kingston Chamber of Commerce. Now, below you'll see where I have my email, phone, mobile, and text. Feel free to contact me in any one of those ways. But if you want immediate access, the easiest way to get a hold of me is through text. There I have my phone with me at all times. But even though some people on this webinar would agree, I do respond to emails very quickly, even into the evening hours. But I don't like to rely on that. If you need immediate then I usually recommend a text. So what we're going to cover in today's webinar is what is SEO, why is SEO so important, and tips to improve your SEO that include speed of website, high quality content, outbound linking, broken links, page format, and branded keywords. So what is SEO? Well, SEO stands for search engine optimization. It is a way of improving organic traffic to your website, which can also help you rank up on search engines when potential customers are searching for things related to your business. If you have high quality SEO, your website will be accessed more often and your page can show up right after the paid ads that show up on a Google search, for example. So let me just break that down a little bit further. A Google search result page, which is also known as a SERP, S-E-R-P, is broken down to 4 components. At the very top of the page are your Google ads. That's where people pay to display an ad to you. Now, they don't actually pay for the ad to be displayed, they pay on a click basis. So it's pay-per-click advertising is what that's called. And how you can tell is if you see the title of the ad and then directly below it, it'll have a little icon that says ad. That's a paid ad showing up. Below the paid ads are your Google Map pack or local SEO. So here you'll usually see the top 3 results of your Google pack. Now, in order to get into your Google pack, usually what has to happen is a very well-structured Google My Business page with lots of reviews. So we can cover that in a separate webinar, but that's usually how Google Packs work. It's also going to try and show you the closest relevant results to your physical location, assuming you're not looking through incognito mode on your Google browser. So the third section below that is your organic results. That shows you the results from 1 through 10, and then you can go through multiple pages and see 20 to 30 and so forth and so forth. So that's your organic results, which is really what we're talking about today with SEO. And then the last section is on the right-hand side. That is your Google My Business profile. So anytime somebody's doing a search, and we'll just use an example, funeral homes in Kingston, And when somebody does a search for funeral homes in Kingston and James Reed Funeral Home pops up, that is showcasing who Google thinks would be the most relevant to my query. So it could be by location, could be that they kind of want to bid, if you will, because their Google my business profile is set up more accurately. There's a number of different things, but they always do recommend a business, and it is very worthwhile setting up your Google My Business page in order to hopefully be that business that shows up. So that's in essence the Google search result page. As I said, we're talking about today is SEO. So the organic results is the key component. So why should you use search engine optimization? Well, while SEO might seem like a nice idea, you might still be in doubt about why you need it. Having a business in an age where technology reigns can be overwhelming. However, SEO is really important to get all your efforts to have an online presence seen by potential customers. Search engine optimization will allow you to build a trusting relationship with your customers and boost your organic traffic. So SEO, I gotta tell you now, is not a race. It's never gonna take place and happen overnight. All you can do is you can dot your I's, cross your T's, and make sure your site is optimized. And then over a course of 4 to 6 months, that's where you should start to see the results of your efforts. Now, if you're hiring an SEO company, if they say they can get you the first page, first result guaranteed, well, I say BS, because there is no way that they can achieve that unless it's a low quality keyword with very little competitiveness to that keyword. Normally what I would look for is a first page top 5 listing is what we're gearing for, unless of course we're in a major metropolitan area, utilizing the word funeral home when we're dealing with 75 funeral homes all vying for that same keyword. It would be awesome to get number 1, but realistically it may be more difficult. All right, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about 6 tips today. We will outline 6 excellent tips that can level up your SEO game for your website and place you on the first page of Google's search engine results page. So what we're going to talk about first is your website's loading speed may need an update. We now live in a world where patience is slowly decreasing, which means people want things to happen pretty quickly. If your website server is slow, this can harm your website's SEO ranking on Google. Google will not notice this about your website and will decrease it. Google will notice this about your website and will decrease it in its ranking. Also, when visitors have to wait longer than 3 seconds for your page to load, they will click away from it and probably never come back. Your website server being slow can lose you a lot of traffic and reputability. On the other hand, if your website server is fast and you keep bringing in traffic, and because of how popular your website is, Google will rank you higher for it. Make sure your website speed and server response times are fast. So I'm just going to pull in a website here that we use to track the speed of our website. So it's gtmetric.com, gtmetrix.com. And what I do recommend is in the search or in the website box, put in your website address and hit test your site. Now I've used a very simple website. This is a 1-pager. I did it only because it's fast to analyze and it doesn't take a lot of time for the purpose of this webinar. So right now it's fetching the site, and then the next one it's going to build the report. And obviously we're probably going to see extremely good results. This is a site that is hosted on our servers. So here you can see we've come up with the latest performance report for qubitsystems.com. They have received a grade A with a performance of 99%, and structurally they're 100%. And the biggest piece right here is the time it takes to download is 835 milliseconds. So 1/8 or 8/10 of a second it takes to download this page, and it breaks it down right here for you. So this site gets a grade A. So for you, I mean, you can go through and look at all the information, share it with your website designer, I can share with you a couple things. If you're a funeral home website with a funeral home management system like Funeral Tech, FrontRunner, CFS, your grade is probably going to be in the E to D range because of the amount of code behind the scenes, a lot of integrations. We find a WordPress site, fresh, after we're done, is a quality of about a D or a C. There are ways that we can improve your loading speed. So ideally, like this is a WordPress site. While I said it's not a huge site, it did get an A, so it is possible. But it is good to check once a year, maybe twice a year, your loading speed and discuss that with your web host and say that because this is a factor for SEO. All right, so website speed is your number one. Number two is to create high quality content for your readers to read. When readers find something that they fall in love with, they most often always go back to the source so they can see more. But if you haven't kept your website content updated, you will lose traffic because your readers will get bored and ultimately leave your page. Visitors like fresh, new, and trendy content that is high quality and exciting. When visitors love your content, it keeps them on your page longer, affecting your SEO. This is also called the dwell time. The fewer time viewers spend on your website, the lower you score in the Google's SEO rankings. So to go on with just the dwell time, there's also a factor called length of time visitor on your website. It's a KPI, which is a key performance indicator in Google Analytics. So that's one thing that you should also watch for, is how long are visitors staying on your website. If they're on your site 15 to 20 seconds only, then that's very little amount of time. Now, again, I hate to keep picking on my funeral home clients, but I do know there's a lot of you on today that are funeral homes. It is hard to get people to stay on longer because really they're coming there to see an obituary. They get the information they need and they leave. They're not dwelling around and going into other information. We wish they would. I mean, that's why it's there, but ultimately that's the case. But a non-funeral home website, you should see a minute and a half to minute 45, 2 minutes of time where you should see how long they stay on your website. There's also another factor, which is your bounce rate. So you may want to look at that as well. And that is basically when somebody visits a single page of your website and doesn't go any further within the content and leaves. That's called a bounce. So ultimately, you're going to have bounces. That's going to be happening, but you should see around a 15 to 20% bounce rate. Anything higher, I would be investigating further. Number three, make use of outbound links. Now, outbound links can be another way to get your rating up on Google's SEO ranks, as well as give your website more credibility. You should always back it up with trustworthy links and authoritative sources wherever you make a claim. Your readers will appreciate this and may eventually start using your website to link out to for their content, which will only increase your website's SEO on Google. So outbound links are really important. So let's say you wrote a beautiful article, a blog, and you've got some authoritative information that you want to also link to the source. Now, because the source may be a higher domain authority than you, that is really good for your SEO, because Google will look at that and say, oh, okay, you're linking to the source, that source is of high quality, we're gonna give you more value. So that's what you're looking for with your outbound linking strategy, is high quality domain authority links. Now, if you already do use backlinks, make sure that they are still active in putting out fresh content. You don't want to have an outbound link on your website that are broken, because it can frustrate your viewers and eventually they will lose trust in your brand and won't return. So it's crucial to keep an eye out for this and routinely check and update your outbound links. So the good thing about linking outbound is you're sending a person out of your website, which may not sound like a great idea, but there's a way of doing it so they don't leave your site in the back end. But they go to the new site, they get the information. But if that link is actually broken, then that actually looks bad on your website. So you want to make sure your outbound links are active and current. Now, I'll give you an example. One of our clients a couple weeks ago, we were talking to him and realized that his resources page, which is full of outbound links to local companies, a lot of them had retired or closed shop. So he hadn't, in his words, for 10 years checked out his lawyers, accountants in his community. He was linking to their businesses, which is great, but the fact is they closed up shop or retired, and he hadn't updated his outbound links. That can look bad in the Google search engines. Also, I just want to add, there's also, we've used the word backlinks above. So sites like to link back to you. It's an outbound link for them, but it's a backlink for you. And the easiest one to think of is directory sites, Yelp, Google My Business. For funeral homes, it's legacy.com, yellowpages.ca. All these sites have a link back to your website. But what we want to watch for is what we call toxic backlinks. This is where a site that just got spun up yesterday links back to your website, and it has a low, very low domain authority, usually a score of 0, and has no traffic. That link actually can hurt your SEO. And with our silver and gold SEO packages, we monitor for those. So we're constantly every month watching for the toxic backlinks, and then through your Google Search Console, we can actually kill those links so Google doesn't evaluate them any longer. So there is some pros and cons. You can outbound, you can have backlinks, but you want to make sure they're quality backlinks, not websites that have just started up yesterday and are now linking back to you. That doesn't actually work. So it's not about quantity, it's about quality. All right, so number 5, create a good page format. When you're creating your website, really take your time setting up the formatting of your website. You want it to flow and feel welcoming. A neat, organized, and clean format invites visitors to your website, and it makes it easy for them to navigate through it and allows them to read your content with ease. Having a website with too much going on doesn't look good, and if you have photos and ads scattered all over the place, it will turn visitors away from your website because it seems like a scammer site. Google will see this too, and your rank will decrease because of it. Make sure that your website looks clean and organized and has a fresh, regular content to attract visitors and get them to stick around. So I'm going to talk about page structure. You might have noticed in the speed test, there was actually a structure and we had 100%. So there's some page structure you should follow when thinking about SEO. Number 1, you should look at having heading 1 tags and a heading 3 tag. So one heading 1 tag should appear at the top of your site, and your heading 3 tag should be a paragraph breaker. So if you're starting a new paragraph. Those heading tags should contain your keyword in them. So that's very important for especially the heading 1 tag to have the keyword contained in the title. Number 2, you want to have a certain number of keywords in your page, and that's called keyword density. So you're looking at a 3% keyword density on any page within your website. So using very easy math, 100 words at 3% keyword density means you've used that keyword 3 times. So it's not overused, but it's not underused. It's used perfectly. Now you can go down to 2%, but I wouldn't go any lower than that, and definitely don't go higher than 3%. Otherwise, you may be deemed keyword stuffing. So how many words should you have on a page or a blog? I would recommend a minimum 300 words, a maximum 1,500 to 2,000 words, but optimally 500 to 600 words. So yes, you can have a great page or lengthy blog about a topic and have 15 to 2,000 keywords, which are 2,000 words, which is great. Or you can minimally have it at 300 words, but ideally for a reader, 500 to 600 words is perfect. Now, also on that page, you're going to want to have an image. And on that image, you're going to want to have an alt text that contains the keyword for the page. So many times I see people put a photo on a page, but they don't put an alt text. The problem with that is Google, when they're indexing your page, don't have an understanding of what that photo looks like or is trying to represent, because that photo to Google is just a bunch of ones and zeros. So an alt text allows them to read it, but it is also a way of putting in your keyword into your page again. So that's very important. And then lastly, with your structure, I usually recommend inbound linking. So inbound linking is where you link to a page within your own website. So you're not out, linking to a third party, which is an outbound link. You actually link to a page within your site. And the easiest one to do is a contact us form. Contact us for more information, link to contact us to the contact page. There's an inbound link. Hopefully that was some good information to help you with structuring a good page format for SEO. Now, using keywords related to your brand. Keywords play an important role when creating content for your website, and they help Google match what people are searching for online to your website. Using short tail keywords and long tail keywords can rank you higher in Google's SEO ranks if your keywords match what people are searching for. However, you don't ever want to saturate your website's content with keywords, because this could have the opposite effect that you want. Google will take notice of the overuse of keywords and will bump you down a few ranks. Anytime you use keywords in your content, it should flow naturally. So I mentioned earlier, 3% keyword density. Anything higher is going to look like you're saturating your content, and this could have the opposite effect. Short tail keywords are keywords that are 1 or 2 words, and long tail keywords are 3 or more. So just using, again, beating up on my favorite industry of funeral homes, funeral home keyword is short tail. Funeral homes in Kingston is a long tail keyword. Now, one thing that I would recommend is create a Google spreadsheet or a Excel spreadsheet and put in as many long tail keywords or short tail keywords as you want. Now, normally I recommend using long tail keywords first, because then you can pull out short tail keywords out of the long tail. And then go into incognito mode on your Google browser and search for those keywords. See where you're ranking. I usually suggest go from your first page through to page 10. Nobody's ever really going to go past page 3, but at least you can then track where you're ranking for those keywords. Now, just to add, if you do utilize our service, we provide you a SEO report that does have a keyword ranking page that takes all the keywords that we're monitoring and ranks it against 4 of your competitor sites. So using the word funeral home, for example, we can then measure that for James Reed. We could say, okay, Arbor is this one, this funeral home is ranked here. So you can see not only where you are today, but you can also see in the future, as you get further reports, you can see how you're improving. So in conclusion, there are just a few things that you can do to improve your website's SEO rank on Google. It can be as simple as checking for those broken links or using an outbound links to reformat your website and using popular relatable keywords for your website's content to get more views and increase your ranking on Google. Here at Your Social Strategy, we know it can be tough to improve your rankings in Google, especially if you're not sure what to do about it. Our team members are experts in this area and much more. If you have any questions, send me an email, a text, or give me a call. You can call my cell, you can call my business line. Either way, you'll always get a hold of me. Now, since you stuck around, we are offering a special in March. It is our SEO Bronze Package, which retails for $249 per month. For the month of March, if you have listened in on this webinar, you can get a 6-month price for $219 a month, which gives you a savings of $180. So if you participated in this webinar and you wanted to listen in or take advantage of the special price, $219 a month for the next 6 months. I'd like to thank you for listening into the webinar. We are going to be doing our next webinar on March 30th. Please watch for notifications and sign up for that webinar as well. For those of you who weren't able to attend, don't worry, you're going to get a copy of this sent to you by email as well. I thank you and have a great day.